What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I'm going to be bringing you my full review of the Ferrum Forge Stinger. Before I dive into that, if you can do me a favor, if you do enjoy this video and you do enjoy the review, do me a favor, leave a like for the video. Consider subscribing as I try to grow the channel and bring you the content. I appreciate all the support from everyone out there. It means a lot to me, and I hope that we continue to grow so I can do a giveaway when we get to the next milestone. I think I'm going to do something small around 800, and then when I get to that 1,000 subscriber milestone, I'm probably going to do something really cool. So think about subscribing if you already enjoy watching the content and everything that I'm doing with the channel. Now that that's all out of the way, let me go ahead and give you the specs. The Ferrum Forge Stinger has a 3.25-inch Nitro V steel, has 4.125-inch G10 handles, has an overall length of 7.25 inches, and weighs a very lightweight 2.5 ounces. So this is definitely a EDC sized knife. The things that I do like about this knife, it does have the flipper tab, and it has the fuller for deployment. So I do like those a lot. I think it really does lend to the fidget factor with this knife. Now that 2.54 ounces, let's go ahead really quick and verify if that's actually the weight that it comes in at on the scale. So 2.6, they're saying 2.54, so probably somewhere in that wheelhouse, not off by too much. The next thing I'd like to do before I get into the knife too much, let me go ahead and just do my comparison knives. Then I'll give you some comparable knives, or knives that I think compare really well, and then I'll wrap it up with some thoughts. So first, I'm going to go ahead and bring out my Yojimbo 2. The Yojimbo has a 3.125-inch 20 CV blade steel, 4.5-inch G10 handles, with an overall length of 7.5 inches and weighing in at 4 ounces. So when you look at these two, from a length perspective, they're very similar. Now the Yojimbo has a little bit more presence, a little bit more girth, so it is a little bit more noticeable in pocket. The other knife I'd like to bring out is the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. The Paramilitary 2 has a 3.44-inch S45 VN blade, 4.81-inch G10 handles, an overall length of 8.25 inches, and weighing in at 3.75 ounces. So you can tell that the Stinger is definitely smaller than the PM2. Let me go ahead and get these out of the way, and I'm going to bring in the crossbar locks. First up is going to be the Benchmade Bug Out. This is going to be a really good comparison. The Bug Out has a 3.25-inch S30V blade steel. The length on the blades are about the same, but you can tell you got a little bit more cutting surface or cutting edge with the Bug Out. The Bug Out comes in with 4.22-inch titanium handles, an overall length of 7.46 inches, and coming in at 2.8 ounces with the titanium scales. The Stinger is 7.25 and the Bug Out is 7.46. So really close size comparison right here. So this will probably give you an idea, because that one's going to come out in just a little bit as a comparison knife. Next up is going to be the SIG K320 by Hogue. This one here has a 3.5-inch S30V blade, 4.5-inch polymer handles, an overall length of 8 inches, and weighing in at 4.16 ounces. So you can see, again, the Stinger is a smaller knife, a smaller EDC knife, but not fifth pocket or micro carry sized. All right, last I want to go ahead and bring out my budget knife comparisons. First up, the Kubi KU321 with a 2.99-inch D2 steel blade. Handles are 4.29 inches and are G10. Overall length 7.28 inches and weighing it at 3.32 ounces. So again, these are very close in size. Very close in size and carry. When I get to the profile, you're going to notice that there is a little bit of an edge to the Stinger because it is thinner, but we'll get to that in just a second. Next up is my Civivi Cogent. The Cogent has a 3.47-inch 14C 28N blade, 4.4 4 1-inch G10 handles for an overall length of 7.88 inches and coming in at 3.7 ounces. So very, very close in size. Let's go ahead and run these through some profiles so you can see the thinness of the Stinger compared to some of these other knives. So first up, you can see it against the Cogent. It is thinner than the Cogent. Let's go ahead and bring the Royal up here. So you can see, because the contouring on the Royal, it is thinner, but even at the chamfered part, it is thinner than the Kubi Royal. Bring the SIG K320, and of course the V-shape makes it look really big, and then when you look down at the bottom of the barrel, it's just slightly thicker. I'm going to wait and bring the bug out last. I am going to go ahead and bring out the Yojimbo, which is also representative of the G10 version of the Para 3, and you can see it is skinnier. No need to bring out the PM2 because it has the contoured scales, but let's go ahead and take a look against that bug out. So you can see here that it is relatively the same thinness. I had to bring it out here because you have all of this contouring going on, so I wanted to kind of bring it out. Let me do it this way, to the thickness of the scale, and you can see here these are almost even. The Stinger has a little bit more thickness until you get to the contouring of the Flytanium scales, and then you can see they're about even. So that's another knife that I think compares really well to this, and I am going to go ahead and just bring this down in now for the rest of this, now that I've done this piece of it. So let me go ahead and bring you guys in. I'm sorry about all the shaking, but I wanted you to be able to get in nice and close to see some of these comparisons. So another knife that I want to bring out here that I think compares kind of well is going to be the Civivi IMPERIUM, which also has Nitro V steel, but it's built a little bit different. So it is longer overall than the Stinger, but it is a more slender profile. So two very different carry options, and I'm going to leave that out here for a second because I do want to talk about these. So the thing that I really do like about it is very small in pocket and it takes up minimal space. I like the fact that it also offers a full grip on the handles, but it does kind of put you pretty far back from the cutting path. So if you want to have the confident grip in hand for that, to come back on the handles, you're going to have to work your thumb out and make sure that you're out on the blade path for any type of push through cuts. Now if you're getting into a heavier cut, they do give you this finger choil. It does make me a little bit nervous because you do have sharpened edge all the way up to the end, and I'm sorry about my dry hands. It's like 30 degrees here today. But to get in there, it's fine. I wouldn't say it's comfortable, but as you can see, it gets a little bit thinner here, so it does feel like you're on a little bit of a hot spot, I guess I would say, when you go to choke up to use that actual blade. And then what that results in, it results in less cutting surface. So when you see pivot to pivot, you can see that the IMPERIUM has like a finger slash sharpening choil that you can move up on. You can't really choke up on it, but you can move up on it. Whereas this, to me, I think, you know, with a smaller hot hand would qualify for a full finger choil. But you do lose a little bit of that sharpening surfaces, and I know that the IMPERIUM does have longer blade overall. Now against the same 3.25 inch bug out, you can see here the bug out has a flatter surface, which is going to be good for any type of push cuts. It's not going to tend to want to slide or slip out of the cut as much, and you got much more cutting edge because when you look at where you don't have that finger choil, but you can still choke up really good on that. So I think that's going to be kind of a preference type thing. The other thing that I don't like is the fact that it's not reversible. The deep carry clip is inset, and it is very small, and it's not very hot at all, but it is a miss for me, the fact that it's not reversible. The blade works really well. I like Nitro V. This is my third knife with Nitro V. It cuts really well, slices really well, and this one is very thin and slicey. Has a nice blade stock to it, really thin behind the edge, and it carries that thinness all the way up. Doesn't drag on that fuller at all. Always worry about that, but it doesn't catch, doesn't hamper the performance of the knife. Overall ergonomics, they're They're good. They're fine. It feels a little bit better back here, which is why I kind of wish they just brought the sharpened edge all the way back. If I can fit my big hand on this knife, I don't think that you really need that finger choil. Now, that's going to come down to preference. Some folks are going to really love that, and that's fine. Just for me, I think that's a bit of a miss. I would have rather had the sharpened edge. Bring the fuller down, give me a little bit of a sharpening choil right there on the inside of the fuller, and let me get up close to it myself. I think it would have been better. Now, the action on this is really nice. It does have that wee Civivi ceramic bearings inside, and really snappy. Works really good with the sharpening the fuller, and it works with the thumb. But all right, so let me see. So you can see no whiteness there, but when you go to use this fuller, it is a little sharp. So you can see just a little bit there where it kind of dragged off some of the skin. So that to me is a little disappointing. I wish they could have either made it deeper and chamfered it a little bit, and you can see it just wants to, you have to dig in to get to it, and it really wants to cut away at the skin. So that's a big knock for me. I've had to center it a couple times, trying to tighten it up and get it back centered. I don't know why it keeps wanting to move over. Now, it's been a day since I centered it last time, and it has remained centered. I did tighten it just a touch more than what I had been, and it hasn't hampered the action. But before, I was able to kind of shake it shut, and now it's much tighter. But at least it's not coming off centered. So if I slam the knife, I can get it to close. Now, the very last complaint that I have about this knife, the con, is definitely the access to the liner lock. It is super uncomfortable. I literally have to like jam my finger up into the very edge and slide it over, and it's still, you see how white my finger's having to get? Now, if I try to do it like normal, because there's not good access, there's no jimping on the lock bar, I can't get it, and I am putting a little bit of pressure. Now, if I go down and I put a whole lot of pressure, I can get in there, but it is super uncomfortable to operate this liner lock. So it is definitely not big hand friendly to me at all. Now, I did want to just really quickly throw out a couple of other knives that I think are comparable. So some knives that you might want to look at instead of the Stinger if you want something with good access to the liner lock, a little bit more cutting edge, and not really want that fuller. And first, that's going to be the QSP Penguin in titanium. As you can see there, that has much more cutting surface. Another knife that you might want to look at from the same brand is going to be the Civivi Mini Asticus. Now, that one does have a 10CR18 MOV. Can't ever remember the blade steel, but you can see nice ergonomics, has that sharpening choil, and gives you more cutting edge like I had mentioned earlier, and it gives you a swedge. So another really good option and a really good blade steel in-house. But really, if you're looking at this because you like the Nitro V, I think I would even lean towards the Civivi IMPERIUM. Again, you do get that Nitro V blade steel. You do get much more cutting surface, better action. You get better access with jimping to the liner lock, and it is slender in profile, but depending on which one you get, the G10 has the flat scales, and you have the natural G10, so you can dye it any color that you want. If not, you can get one of the fancier versions, and those are nice as well. But also the Mini Asticus has come out with some different versions here recently as well. And the other knife that Civivi has that has Nitro V on it is going to be the Civivi Bow, and they brought some of those out with their newer micarta. So even smaller than the Stinger, but it's still giving you pretty comparable cutting edge when you look at where the actual cutting edge is. I know when you lay them down it looks small, and I know that the liner lock access and the jimping is better on the Bow, but same thickness, and both have really good action, but you get the same cutting edge with Nitro V, and you still get 4-finger grip. So to me, in my opinion, this is the better setup. Overall, I think the knife is okay. I wouldn't make it more recommendable than the two knives that I just showed you that come from We Also that have the Nitro V on them. I would probably say get the Imperium if you like that thinner, slender profile and you want a longer blade. Or look at the bow, especially because the bow has that newer micarta from Civivi that I really like, that they're doing really well. I just don't think that this is worth the price of admission, in my opinion. I think the fuller could have been done better. I think the choil is unnecessary. I think they could have given you more cutting surface and it would have been better. I do like the thinness and the weight because it doesn't really take a lot of pocket space and you really don't feel it. You could probably even carry this with some basketball shorts and be fine. This is really super light. Not reversible. That bow is not reversible either, but the Imperium is reversible if you get the G10 variant, but not their other variants. So I don't know why they're emphasizing the show side so much on these, but they are. Like I said, I just think it's okay. That's my impressions of the Stinger. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend quite a few different knives. Again, I think I would recommend the Penguin. I think if you get the the titanium for around the same price with 154 cm, and you get bearings, ceramic bearings, and you get a milled titanium pocket clip, you're getting a little bit more for your money. Or you can get the Asticus, the bow, or the Imperium for less, and they all, well, not the Asticus, but the bow and the Imperium have Nitro V. Also, Civivi's coming out with even more steel knives with Nitro V steel in their lineup, and one of them's a button lock that I have ordered and is on the way. Hopefully, by the time this video goes up, I'll be able to do an unboxing shortly after this one. That is my impressions. I think the Stinger is just okay. It's a bit of a miss for me, in my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm sure that there's some people that probably have this that really like it. I imagine if you have smaller hands, you probably are okay. It could be just that I have larger hands, so I have a little discomfort when actuating that lock bar. And then again, the thinness up of the blade, which is great for cutting, is just a little uncomfortable for choking up on things, but it does perform really well. The Nitro V performs really, really well. The issue with the centering, trying to find that sweet spot, I haven't been able to do it yet, but if you enjoyed the video, again, just leave me a like. Appreciate the support. Thanks for tuning in and watching this review. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. And until next time, have a fantastic week. Peace.